Well, hello. My name is Elisa Gutierrez, and this is my summative reflection, uh, phase three. Okay, so in this final reflection, I will talk about the our endeavor with the bookshelf, and then I will be discussing my final thoughts on these past 2 years, which will conclude my cast project. So our bookshelf endeavor, excuse me, began because we saw a need in our community in the men program that we volunteered at over the summer between going into our senior year. Um, we recognized that their bookshelves were overworn, they were starting to fall apart, and we decided that we would make bookshelves. And coincidentally, um, we needed the action hours, so we got to working. Um, we had planned that we wanted to, decorate it since our project based on art. We wanted to continue that theme of art and, create a beautiful, artistic, creative masterpiece on the bookshelf. So towards around the end of the summer, we went to IKEA and we found the perfect bookshelf. It was a white, very spacious bookshelf, and it was perfect for, you know, drawing, painting, all sorts of, things you can do on the bookshelf to enhance it. Um, and so once we bought the bookshelf, we came to my house and we built it. I offered the supplies. All we needed is a hammer, really, because it already came with the nails and all the necessary things to build it. And so we built it fairly quickly with the help of everyone. We worked collaboratively. We, some of us, one of us delegated while others like used the hammer, while others did this and then did that, and then in the end we finished successfully without breaking the bookshelf, which was definitely an accomplishment since none of us had any experience with carpenting or of that sort. Um, After that, we had to find a date that would fit into our very busy schedules as seniors. At the time, we were, still studying for SATs, writing college applications, college essays, and along with on top of their IB schoolwork, which was plenty at the time. So trying to find time to uh, start sketching the bookshelf was proved to be a problem. Um, so when we finally were able to find a date, um, we got to it. So Zakia, she took IB art her junior year, so she had a lot of experience with drawing. Um, and we kind of, you know, told her it's up to you. How do you want to do this? And she came up with this wonderful idea. Um, so her idea was, paint the entire inside of the bookshelf blue, like a sky blue, and then we would draw a tree starting from the bottom, going onto the shelves as well. So kind of create like a 3D effect like that, and create branches, and the branches would extend over the sides of the bookshelves, um, even up top the like over on top of the bookshelf, and then inside the branches the logo would be placed there, almost like as if the tree is carrying the logo. And then for the leaves, we wanted, had more color. So we did not just want to use green. We used autumn colors, like a gold red, orange, yellow, and some green in there because we wanted, right in between going into autumn. And so as for leaves, instead of, drawing out leaves, we used our handprints, and we thought this would be a nice special mark, like leaving our actual mark, in the location of Mend. And so Zakia, she started drawing it out, and when she drew the outline of the tree, we painted outside the lines. We painted blue, um, and at first we had to clean up um, the inside of the oh gosh, I'm going blank here. The inside of the bookshelf. And so we cleaned up the inside of the bookshelf because the reason is we were working outside. And so dust had gone in, some pieces of grass. So we cleaned it up, and the brushes that we were using were a little old, so the quality wasn't at best. And we were using uh, paint wall. I mean, sorry, paint for the wall instead of instead of outdoor paint. Um, and the reason for that is that a friend of ours, Gloria, she who was also in the group, had recently paint some of her furniture, and so she had lots of her paint, and she was like, let's not spend any money on that, so let's just use it. And so we did. Um, as we were painting, I had never painted before actually, and Gloria, because she had recently been painting her furniture, she told us that the key to painting is you have to paint um, going in one direction only. So if you're going in a certain direction, you had to keep going in that direction, because if you changed it up, it would, like, let's say you have like lines going down this way, but then if you change it going down this way, then you'd have lines and like that and like that, and so it would not look clean. And so yeah, I learned how to paint that day. So remember, only in one direction. Excuse me. Um, and then once we finished that, we just painted it, the entire thing, and then it was the next part, which we would do another day. So the next day, I mean not the next time, the next day, but the next time we met, um, we finished up the painting, the blue painting, because the last time we had only done the upper portion of the bookshelf, and this time we finished the bottom portion. At this point, so the next time we met, we finished the painting. The last time we had only finished the upper portion of the bookshelf, and so this time we'd finished the bottom one as well. At this point, the sketch was completely done, and so we were able to now get into the tree. So we had a problem in that day. We somehow had every single other color of paint except brown. And we still had another group member coming in later, and so we were crossing our fingers that she had brown paint. And so when she came about an hour later. I think it was it was an hour later, and she brought paint, and she had brown paint. The thing with this brown paint was that it was very dark, brown, um, and she had very little, and we had to paint a very huge tree. I mean, it was the size of the entire bookshelf, so we were like, this is not going to be enough, And I wanted to I wanted to go and buy some more paint for Michael's, but everyone was like, no, it's not spending more money. I was like, it's fine, I'll pay it out of my check. Like, I really want this to look really good. I want the exact perfect color. But as soon as we finished with everything else, there wasn't enough time. People had to leave, so we left that for the next day. For another day. Okay, so the next time we met, we yes, we worked on we got so close to being done that day. Oh, I could taste it that day. I remember we were up very late at night too that day. So that day I went to I this time I actually went to Michael's. I bought the paint that I wanted, and with the dark colors we mixed them and it made a beautiful, beautiful color. And so we used a light brown, and then we used dark browns to make just to make contrast and just to give the tree, the bark, its detail. And it looked gorgeous. I loved it so much, and I was so glad that I made the decision to go out and buy the paint. Yeah. So then the next part was the logo. So the logo was difficult because um, you had to have a good hand, steady hand to paint the edges. And I'm fairly good with painting, and I have a very steady hand. So I was dealt with the task of painting in the logo. After painting in the logo, which was alright, it was fairly easy. Um, we did the outlines of the branches, and since the branches were contrasted right with the blue color that we had placed previous times before, you also had to have a steady hand, so it's just also something I did. And then we let all of that dry. And about this time it was around 6 or 7, so it was starting to get dark. And it was time to put on the leaves, or in this case, our handprints. And it was so much fun, this part. You got so messy. There was this really cool gold color that we had, and we would mix it with all the other, like the orange, the green, the yellow, and the red, and it'd make this really, really, like, just really, really awesome color. And so that was very fun, very messy. Got paint all over my clothes. Thankfully, I used the right clothes because you have to use the right clothes when you paint. And so we painted everything. We got it all done, and then we started to do some final details. But it was late at night, and we also had to seal the paint because you were using acrylic, and it scratches off once it's dried. So that was the end of that day, and then we would go on to the next one. So the next time, Gloria had not been there in our previous meeting, but she came to this one, and so we decided that it was time to put her mark. So we let her do. We decided that it needed more color, just needed a little more fluff to it, and so we decided to let her do it. And I got so excited, super excited that that I wanted to do it myself as well. I wanted to put more color to it, and so out of excitement, I accidentally grabbed blue and put it on my hands and put it on the bookshelf. And once I put it on and took my hand out, I realized that we did not use blue, and so oops, mistake. And so then Zakia was like, okay, grab green and mix it up and go red over it. And that's what happened, and it was an easy fix. Like, it never happened. Just like that. Then we also had this idea of on the bookshelves we would each write our names, not only leaving handprints, but also leaving our names onto the um, yeah, onto the bookshelves, shelves, not the bookshelf, but the shelves. Um, and so then after that, we sealed it. So we, you know, the paint wouldn't come off, and then it was a wrap for that night, and we put it back in storage. And then it was the next phase was transporting it back to the education center at the MEND organization. That was difficult because since it was when we first bought the bookshelf, it was nicely packed in this nice cylinder, thin cylinder, and it fit into Alice's car. But this time, it did not fit into her car when it was all built up. So, um, um, and yeah, and then an accident happened. Building the when we were trying to, um, you know, transport the bookshelf. Um, so we had two people carrying the bookshelf out of a car because it did not fit in my mom's car. We had tried my mom's car after we tried Alice's car, and it didn't fit. And so Alyssa and Monica were taking out the bookshelf, and they accidentally dropped it, and we were hoping it did not break, but then when we put it up, it had broken. On the sides, up at top, and in the middle, where it's adhesed, adhesed with the screwdriver. The screwdriver had broken off. Not the screwdriver itself, but the material, the wood had broken off from this. Yeah, the wood had broken off, and then the screwdriver was loose, which made the entire right side of the bookshelf loose. And so we were little little disappointed. We had put so much work to this bookshelf, and then it broke at the end. But there's always a solution to problems, and so we ended up using Gorilla Glue, gluing it back together as closely as possible as we could. And my dad, he has a huge van, and so I asked my dad if we can take it to the men's center using his van, and we were able to, find a date, take his car, take his van to the men's center, and then we were able to take it out with this time 4 people, not 2, 4, because we did not want to drop it again, and we placed it nicely into one of the rooms, and it looked beautiful, and the people at the center really appreciated it, and we were all just, very proud of ourselves. We felt very accomplished, felt very, very good, and I was happy. I was so glad to give back. I was so glad to know that there was a need and that we were able to fulfill that need, and it was great. It was lots of fun too, especially the handprints. Those were cool. Okay, so the next part will be talking about my cast project as a whole, and I will be concluding it, which that means I will end the cast project. Okay, so my main goal of my cast project was to provide art or the arts to underprivileged children. So we found an organization to work with, and that was MEND, which stands for Meet Each Need for Dignity. And MEND is located in Pacoima, and Pacoima is an area that is definitely impoverished and does not have sufficient enough resources as other cities here in the LA County. So we went to Pacoima over the summer, every day. Actually, sorry, 5 days a week. Sorry, 6 days a week. We also went Saturdays, but not Sundays. No, we went 5 days a week because Mondays was closed. Um, and so we all went. Well, each of us went at least one day of that week. I went at least 3 days a week. Um, and yeah, and it proved to be difficult because what I envisioned was the main thing being the theater production, and that we would create a play, and the art um, teacher would teach them songs because it was a musical. The dance teacher would teach them the dance that would go with the music, that would go with the songs, and then the crafts teacher would make the backdrop, make the props, and it'd help with the costumes. And then we had the speech and poetry teacher that would help with projecting and enunciation, which is very, very important in theater. And then there was theater where this all of these would these will all contribute to the final project, which was the theater production. And though this is what I had envisioned, and I was very, very, very much hoping for this to happen. Um, we even went to the point of we were thinking of creating a stage because the Mend Education Center did not have a specific stage. It didn't have something like risen that was like risen up from the level floor. Um, and so I was super excited. I had everything planned out and da 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 da, and the first few weeks was just playing a few games, getting them warmed up, getting comfortable with each other, and then the next part would be start getting practice with acting. Start portraying characters. Starting analyzing characters and understanding characters and stuff like that. And adding their actions, their emotions into these characters. Then we would go into enunciation, projecting along with the speech teacher. But the problem was that with the theater production, you have to be committed and you have to be enthusiastic and you have to want to do this. And I tried, making these kids really want to do this. I tried to show them my passion for it, my love for it, but I guess it didn't just feel the same way as I did. And so this lack of motivation from the kids proved to be difficult because um, they did not want to be there. They did not want to put in the effort. Most of the time, I was mostly babysitting, not really teaching. Um, and so, no one wanted to memorize lines. No one wanted to learn about characterization. No one wanted to, learn about, you know, any of this stuff. And, I was disappointed. And yeah. Um, and so I had to change my outcome. I changed my goal, and it ended up becoming my theater class was more of like let's have fun and just do a bunch of theater games. That's what seemed to interest them, that kept them attentive, and you know if I wanted to do this theater production, I had to get kids who were actually motivated and were actually interested in doing this and actually wanted to do it, instead of me forcing them to. They did not want to do. And so yeah, that was my art project over the summer. Um, that was going into senior year. And so senior year, we wanted to continue this theme of art. So we did the bookshelf as stated in my previous reflection. That was fun. I really liked it. Then we did a few hikes. Um, which were very tiring. I felt so sore. um, yeah, we did a few of those. Actually, many of those. Yeah, many of those. It was like 4 hours each time too. Yeah. Those were difficult because there was a part in the trail. It was actually pretty at the beginning, and it was a very steep incline where you were actually climbing rocks. Rocks. You were not hiking. You were actually having to grab a rock and pull yourself up. And it was like three of those sequentially. Um, and oh man, after that you were tired, and so then you had to continue going up and up and up and up and up. And in one of our hikes, we we, we oh sorry, on one of our hikes, it began to drizzle, and it was so nice. It was a much harder drizzle than usual drizzle, and it was just, you could just lay under the rain, and it would be like, it would be fine. You were not getting soaked; you were just getting, wet. And after a while, so after then, we decided to go back down because what if it started raining harder, and that would have been no good. Um, and yeah, that was fun. I like those hikes. They were very fun. We all motivated each other. We were like, we can do this. We can do this. Let's go. Let's go. Even though we were very exhausted. It was definitely a great bonding experience. And then I did this other activity. Not with my group. I did it separately. Um, and yeah. That was very tiring. I was on my feet all day for about 5 hours, 5 hours and a half. Um, and yeah, it was fun. I mean, you would get, like, you get exhausted, not just because of me standing all day, but because of just how repetitive it was. Like, you do the same thing over. You have give the kid instructions. You fold it for them. Put on the little antennas of the butterflies, and then hang it, and then over again, and then over again. So I mean, it was nice. It was nice seeing the creativity of these kids. You know, it was definitely a craft that I did not know before that I had learned, I I thought it was so cool because it incorporated math into it because it was symmetry. Um, and according to math, symmetry is when you have um, if you have a line of symmetry, of course, and from on one side it would be the exact same compared to the other side. So if you have a circle here, sorry, this is the line. If you have a circle here, you have a circle here. So subconsciously, or I mean, sorry, unconsciously, show children, some math in there, even though it was art. um, and yeah, and so then there was that. And then after that, we still had the theater and the hikings. Oh, and even though this was not in my activities in my cast, I did participate in only two events, and they didn't do much, so I did not want to input it in as an actual activity. I went with my friends to their cast project, and their cast project is completely different from mine. Mine is, including the arts and stuff like that. Theirs is an environmental project, where they wanted to make elementary students environmentally conscious, and they did this through a series of activities. And along with that, they created a garden with these kids. And so I went for just only 2 days. Um, it was fun. I was with my friends. Um, these kids were fun to talk with. It's always nice to see how the younger generations are doing. And yeah, that was that. think those are my final activities of my CAS project. So overall, I'm actually pretty proud of my project. I like to brag about it sometimes. Shh. Um, uh, and I'm just very happy with it. I'm so glad that I did this. I'm actually one of the reasons why I did this IB diploma was for the CAS project. I thought it was such an amazing thing to have their students, go out into the real world, learn in the real world, experience the real world to, learn through that way. And I thought that was just awesome. And so this really was one of the highlights of this program. And I'm very happy, very glad I did it. And I am with much relief that it is done. It is a weight off my shoulders, and yeah, that's it. This is my CAS reflection summative, my summative CAS reflection, phase 3. Thank you so much.